Here we have the taxi, better known in the depths of local regulations as the individual public land motor vehicle passenger transport service. And in case you didn't know it, let us introduce Uber, a sleek and well-dressed service that's being accused of breaking the rules of the game. Why? The answer is complicated, but it shows how government regulations, while necessary, can turn things upside down and affect the quality of service citizens receive. Taxis and Uber offer a similar service, though in different markets. Both pick up people to take them from where they are to wherever they want to go, or at least that's the expectation. Uber is more expensive and not everyone uses it, but taxis are losing a portion of the work they used to have. The thing is, this isn't a competitive environment like any other. The taxi world is full of regulations, and since Uber has bypassed those rules, it's often called a form of unfair competition. Does this argument make sense? We'll see, but we can already tell that the truly unfair part is that the taxi business model is unfair to the drivers themselves. To roam the streets in search of passengers, the first thing a taxi driver needs is the car. But to have a yellow cab, you need a medallion. This medallion is the legal right for a vehicle to provide taxi services, and it can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Meaning that adding up the license and the car, the investment to enter the taxi business can be absolutely massive. This type of investment is rarely something the drivers can afford to make themselves. It's said that only 10% of them are also owners. So most drive for someone else who can afford the investment. On top of this, they must pay for company affiliation, road fees, a monthly charge for dispatch services, maintenance, and so on. And how does the driver earn money? In this business, there's no salary. In many cases, the person behind the wheel must pay a daily fixed fee to the owner, plus mandatory savings. They pay for gas, flat tires, internet, and car washes, among other things. Whatever's left over is their pay. For this reason, many drivers don't even have health insurance or contribute to a pension fund. Even so, with these and perhaps other expenses, the taxi driver hits the streets to do their job. Now let's look at Uber. In reality, Uber is a digital platform that connects passengers with drivers. Both parties must sign up on this platform. Passengers use their credit cards, as this is how they'll be charged, and drivers register with their vehicles. Uber, the tech company, is responsible for checking that both the driver and the vehicle are in good condition to provide the service. For its role as an intermediary, it takes a 20% cut of the payments made by the passengers. In many markets, Uber is primarily known for its fleet of specialized private service vehicles. These cars have been the focus of attention because under regulations updated for 2026, specialized transport vehicles are often not authorized to provide individual passenger services. Instead, they are meant to work with tourism, corporations, and schools. But certain conditions make the legal discussion quite complex. Because of this, it was determined that in some regions, Uber vehicles are providing an unauthorized service. But the underlying issue is a debate about unfair competition within the framework of current regulations. It is more expensive to work as a taxi driver than for Uber, first, because a specialized car doesn't have to pay for a costly medallion, so the total investment is much lower. And second, because taxi fares are regulated by the government, while Uber's are not, meaning Uber has the flexibility to charge higher rates. It seems unfair, then, that a much smaller investment can lead to significantly higher profits. Or at least, that's how taxi drivers see it. From the user's perspective, since they are the ones paying, this debate seems absurd because they simply want better service, even if it's more expensive. So it might be unauthorized, but why do these regulations exist? Originally, government regulations are supposed to ensure the well-being of the nation and its citizens. Allowing anyone to drive around picking up strangers in their car for money is a useful service, but it also carries risks. The driver or the passenger could pose a threat to one another. Besides safety, having too many cars on the road causes congestion and wear, which has negative effects for everyone. Finally, and this is a point for the economists, the laws of supply and demand don't fully apply here because passengers aren't always in a position to compare prices. For all these reasons, it's normal for the state to be concerned with regulating the taxi industry. However, how effective are these regulations? Taxi services are generally considered relatively safe and relatively reliable. But we can't deny that there are express kidnappings, unlicensed taxis, robberies, cars in poor condition, and illegal surcharges. Drivers who speed, those who refuse to take certain routes, congested roads, and the list goes on and on. Nothing justifies these issues, but perhaps they shouldn't surprise us, as there's a clear link between state regulations, working conditions, and the service users receive. To prevent congestion, the government issued a limited number of permits for taxis to operate in the city. These are the famous medallions. And for reasons that aren't entirely clear, these permits are bought and sold between private individuals. In other words, the right to provide a public service is actually up for sale. Permit prices are high because they're a scarce resource, and those costs end up affecting the quality of the service. For taxi owners who need to recover their investment, the business model is simply charging the driver a daily fee. Naturally, that fee is high because the permit is expensive. In turn, the driver must do whatever it takes to make that money plus a little extra for himself. Well, that whatever it takes attitude is the main reason why there are so many problems with the service today. Then Uber arrives. Taxi drivers argue it's unfair competition because Uber drivers aren't squeezed between high business costs and government-mandated fares. But that has nothing to do with Uber. The real problem is that working as a taxi driver is unfair, regardless of whether Uber exists or not. What's even more interesting is that Uber and other apps are showing the world that tech solutions can be more effective than the regulations we've used until now, both for quality control and service standards, as well as for the safety of passengers and drivers. Regarding safety, Uber performs a rigorous screening process for drivers and vehicles. More importantly, it records every interaction that happens within the system. We know who requested the car, where it is, and who the driver is. Plus, both users and drivers can rate each other. Of course, there have been some complaints about Uber's service, but the interesting part is that the system learns from these mistakes. Uber has a limit on the complaints a driver or passenger can receive. Once that limit is reached, offenders are removed from the platform. When it comes to using public infrastructure, it is actually incredibly easy to collect taxes from a company like Uber. And finally, regarding pricing, Uber uses an automated payment system that prevents any kind of fare manipulation or tricks. The point is, instead of worrying about regulating Uber with outdated ideas, maybe we should consider the opportunities digital technology offers and use this debate to tackle long-standing issues we've faced for a long time. The logistical hurdles for regulators, the harsh conditions for taxi drivers, and the poor service that passengers have to endure.